Do you believe art has the power to heal and transform the world? Are you a visual artist struggling with creative block right now? Are you a visual artist who wants to create art for social change, but you don't know where to start? If you answered yes to at least one of these questions, I think you'll appreciate this video, so keep watching. My name is Monica. I'm a visual artist in Chicago, and this is my first vlog. I've been making visual art since 2015, making 2025 my 10th year putting my art out into the world, and recently I did not make any art for an entire year. You might be wondering, okay, how is that a big deal? Well, since 2015, I've used my artistic talents in service to justice movements, both locally and nationally, by producing zines, mixed media posters, paintings, illustrations, banners, and many more mediums that I'm not remembering right now. And when I wasn't creating art, I was leading art making workshops, organizing art builds for actions and campaigns that I was a part of, curating art exhibitions, selling my art, organizing art markets for other artists to sell their art, co-hosting 2 podcasts, being guests on multiple podcasts, and working a full-time job. And then I noticed I was kind of losing my sense of purpose, voice, style in my art, and nothing I made was feeling good anymore. So I stopped making art for a year. Today, I want to talk to you about 3 things. Number 1, why I believe I stopped making art. 2, what I learned in reflecting on that period of time of not making any art. And 3, what I did to get back into my creative flow. I hope that some of this will resonate with you. Everything is timestamped, so if you want to fast forward to certain parts, go for it. I'm not gonna lie, recording myself talking right now is incredibly nerve-wracking. I watch a lot of artists and long-form content creators on this platform, and nobody talked about how awkward this would be. It's like Reels and TikToks seem too hard to make. Let's make long-form vlog content instead. I also hesitated to use this platform for talking about my art practice because, like I said, I watch a lot of long-form content creators and artists on YouTube, and I have been hard-pressed to find many artists who talk about art for social change. But if you're here, drop a comment, say hi so I can follow you. There was no way I could vlog about my art practice without talking about how I believe that artists have the opportunity and honestly the duty to reflect the times, especially in these times. And like writer Hanif Aburraquib once said, the fight to make the world better is not a requirement. The fight to make the world better is not an act of bravery, it is a requirement. So that's just a little bit about me and my values, and I hope that you'll stick around for more on my art practice and what helped me rediscover my artistic voice, and hopefully it'll help you rediscover yours. Okay, first, a few relevant things. When we witness people and communities that we love and care about being mistreated and dehumanized simply for trying to exist or to be their most authentic selves, it is so valid to feel scared and angry and sad and desperate to try to figure out what you could do about it. Those feelings led me towards trying to figure out what I could do or what I could contribute to support my communities and people that I love and care about. I started falling in love with art from graphic artists like Emory Douglas, who was the Minister of Culture for the Black Panther Party, Micah Bazan, Fabiana Rodriguez, Romy Tarico, Just Eats Artist Cooperative, which I'm now a member of. I looked to their work for guidance for not only how to show up for directly impacted communities, but also as people who made art for the people's sake instead of solely just art for art's sake. And also like as guidance in how to work in collaboration with organizations and communities. I saw visual art or graphic art, especially created in a rapid response mode, as an offering, as an act of service, to get a message out for an important mobilization or action way quicker than an article or a book could ever move anyone to pay attention or to take action. That continues to feel important to me as an anchor in my role in the social justice ecosystem and as an artist. And I think understanding and remembering why we create in the first place is so important when we as creatives are reaching those low creative periods, when inspiration feels like so far off in the distance. And art is not enough on its own. I do believe that art is powerful. It can bring healing and transformation to people and to communities. But also, and then, I don't know, maybe this is a hot take, but like, hear me out. I don't believe art is enough on its own to bring about the change that we so desperately need in this world right now. I even made a Venn diagram as I grappled with this one once, and I shared it on my Instagram. And then someone commented with like a quote that perfectly summarized what I was trying to say. They said, art changes people, but people change the world. And I was like, yes, that's what I'm trying to say. Relatedly, another quote to emphasize my point. My friend, incredible poet H. Mel, said at the end of their book, dreaming and action are both required to transform the world. And lastly, you're soon going to realize I'm a quote queen because I love quoting my friends and quoting, I'm going to put my coffee down, quoting people that I don't know, but who just say brilliant things that I can't eloquently say myself. A few years ago, several years ago now, my friend Mariame Kaba, who is a writer, artist, abolitionist, author, New York Times bestselling author, like incredible person. I reached out to her for advice as I co-curated art exhibit with my former arts collective. We were curating an exhibit on 100 years of police violence in Chicago. And so it was like this historical timeline. And Mariame said, you're going to have this really intense art exhibit, and people are going to feel so emotionally moved after viewing this art. What are you going to offer to them to channel their emotions into? And that's like where you get that action part. So we ended up creating this resource section that sat at the end of the exhibit that was a place for people to take away flyers from organizations for upcoming actions or workshops, zines. And my dad actually like custom built these wooden shelves that we utilized for all of these resources. People came through. Okay, stick to the script, Monica. My point is, I don't necessarily want to argue whether art can or cannot change the world, but I do believe that art can move people to take action to transform the world. And I do believe that art and artists, in combination with activism and organizing, is so vital and so needed right now. Okay, so let's get into it. Why didn't I make art for a year, and what lessons did I learn? So number one, I didn't get to know my own creative voice. Something that is true about being an artist for social change is that we make art in service to others for the greater good. That often means being told exactly what to draw or imagery to use or what messaging. And it also means sometimes creating art in this super rapid response mode with tight turnarounds, with lots of feedback from multiple people in an organization. After so many years of creating in that routine, I found it increasingly harder to make anything on my own without giving exact directions. I soon realized I didn't know my own artistic voice. By that I mean, what was my style? What were my preferred mediums? What did I enjoy drawing? What did I hate drawing? Like, I had no idea. I now know that as creatives, we really need to personally carve out time to get to know our own creative voices, even if it means saying no to like really rad and important projects. Because all of that, the way I was operating, it was a clear recipe for burnout. I did take breaks. The breaks were not the problem. The problem was the way I was navigating the work for so long. Number two, I focused more on sustaining visibility than sustaining my art practice. So I started to feel pressure to stay visible so that my platforms would stay highly engaged, so that people would see the art I was posting in support of the organization. And that led to a lot of I shoulds. I should make something to post today. I should make something about this breaking news. I should make something to show that I hadn't forgotten that there's multiple genocides going on right now in the world, and I should be making art to push people to take action. Like, all of these I shoulds pile up. They can and they will pile up. And for me, I just froze up and I couldn't make anything anymore. I now know that we have to consistently and routinely carve out time to reflect on our own creative practices, or honestly just to take a beat and remind ourselves that we don't need to respond to every single crisis. It's okay to step back. That doesn't make us bad people. If we want to sustain our creative practices and be able to contribute our skill sets to movements for the long haul, then we need to learn when and how to step back without shame. We need to build our trust in others, in community, to continue to show up to meet the moment. And then you can tap right back in when you're ready. Number three, I feared being intimate with myself and my craft. This was a really big one. I would have these really big ideas and I'd write them down, and then I wouldn't execute the idea. Or if it wasn't coming out perfectly at the first try, I would just give up. Or I would say, I don't have time to make art. Mind you, I have a pretty awesome job. It's remote. It's a 4-day work week. I have 3 days out of my week to nurture my artistic practice. So I realized that it wasn't that I just didn't have time to make art. It was that I was really just running away from what I really wanted to be doing by burying myself in other things, like my day job, for example, and excuses, so that I didn't have to face the potential that I might not actually be good at what I do, or that I might not be satisfied with the idea that I had, or worse, that I wasn't actually a good artist. I just was terrified that was going to be the reality on the other side. Yeah, it was me making the realization that I had to work hard, I had to practice a lot, I had to kind of be bad at an idea, all in order to get to the good part. I now know that sometimes we can be really good at romanticizing our plans, but then dread the actual execution out of fear of failing. I don't know who said this, but the magic that you're looking for is in the work that you're avoiding. There was this book by the writer James Clear called Atomic Habits. And so I'm thinking of a quote. It's that every action you take is a vote for the kind of person you want to become. So once I shifted my mindset from what do I want to do, or what do I want to create, to who is the type of person that I want to become, that's when I felt this huge shift in getting back into my creative practice. So it's less about what's right in front of me and what do I want to make to put out into the world. It's do I want to do every single day in order to be that kind of person? Yeah. All right, we're going to get into the tips on getting back into your creative flow. Let's do it. First, there's so many firsts. I recently ran a poll for artists over on my Instagram account, and one was just asking how folks are generally feeling in these times and what is something that they feel like they need right now. 38%, which was the largest percentage, said that they wanted a workshop on collaborative art making with, organizations for social change. The other poll asked what was folks' current creative status. Almost 80% of responses said that they either didn't have time to make art or were feeling a creative block, possibly due to the state of the world and how hard everything has been feeling. So while I figure out a virtual workshop situation, I'm going to dig into some tips. And I want to preface that this is stuff that worked for me. So it doesn't necessarily mean it's going to work for you, right? In case you're an astrological girly like me, and maybe you want to see if there's some correlation in our charts that would maybe make it more likely that these tips could work for you. I'm a Virgo sun, Cancer moon, Scorpio rising. But after watching tons of YouTube videos of other artists tackling creative block, some advice truly helped me out and some didn't help me out, but I'll still share those tips, some of those tips too, because maybe it'll help you. Number 1, surrender your ego. Sit in your studio, or if you don't have a studio, wherever you make art, lay out some of your art supplies as if you were going to start something, and then just sit there with them. Or you can do what I did if sitting still is a little hard for you. Reorganize all of your art supplies. Move things around. The point of this is to give yourself permission to not do anything while still having the goal of art making in mind. This permission to relax without pressure is one of the first big steps. And it also makes your art supplies more accessible and visible, so you're more likely to make. Something that didn't work for me was the advice of, it doesn't have to be perfect, be okay with drawing something bad. That was still pressure to do something or be something. And in this case, it was the pressure to make bad art. So I needed to have a little bit more self-direction. So my second piece of advice is to create a menu. And this rec actually came from Tiny Little Egg, who I follow and really enjoy their content. But make a list of things that you want to draw. I think I have a list here somewhere, but I basically just wrote down all of the things that I want to draw. Here's my draw list. So I wrote down glasses, tote bag, chain, ladder, moon. And this way, when you're sitting down to draw or you want to make something and you don't know what to make, then you have this list with you to refer to be like, okay, I'm going to do number 1 today. I'm going to just try to draw it in various ways. Number 3, give yourself 10 minutes a day. It's a pretty well-known exercise in habit forming. But in my personal case, I have to give credit to illustrator Adam Ming and his daily newsletter. Every day, Adam offers a different drawing or a creative prompt and some really solid pep talks, all with the goal of just giving yourself 10 minutes a day to draw. I know we can all find 10 minutes of our day, even if it means scrolling social media for 10 minutes less. Sometimes if my day is packed, I will find 10 minutes right before bed. So I started to leave my sketchbook and a jar of markers next to my bedside so that they're easily accessible, or something like my iPad so that I can set my timer for 10 minutes. Maybe I use my menu if I don't know what I want to draw. 9 times out of 10, I will end up drawing for more than an hour. Something that did not work is go outside. Going outside is a task. If I wasn't making time to be creative and make art, I surely wasn't going to find time to just go outside. Post-production Monica says, that was a slightly false statement. Going to the art store to buy new art supplies was a huge motivator, and so was going out with my partner and hanging out with my beautiful friends on sunny days. Something that did work is I took an art class. I had the privilege and the flexibility to be able to alter my work schedule to take a class in January at the Lil Street Art Center. So Lil Street Art Center is an art school, an art gallery, an artist studio space in Chicago. It's located in Ravenswood, and they offer all kinds of classes and workshops. So I took, which I highly recommend, I took an intro to relief printmaking. So if you're looking for a really good intro class, or if you're, in my case, it was just an overdue refresher. I didn't go to art school, but I still don't identify as a self-taught artist. So many fellow artists and friends have taught me everything that I know about art making for social change. So I embrace the term community taught artist. And in that spirit, I'm so glad I took this class that welcomes artists of all backgrounds, ages, and skill sets. I ended up printing a relief version of one of my most recent digital illustrations, which is featuring my partner and I's cat, Bubs. I printed them in a green and purple. So I just finished my last class at Lil Street Art Center. I printed about 16 prints today. Also, hold on, there's this little thing. I wish the class was maybe like 3 more weeks or 2 more weeks. Love the press. I want to use it again. But yeah, I learned a lot. Taking this class really helped me to commit to something because it cost money and I had to go. Okay, number 5, try a new art medium. Shifting to different mediums helped spark some creativity, and it gave me a new perspective on how to draw something in so many different ways. I'm currently switching between my sketchbook, which I'm utilizing markers and micro pens, and then I'm using my iPad for digital illustration using Procreate, and then this video editing. That's also another creative medium, and soon I want to pull out my watercolors and revisit that medium. Number 6, have multiple projects going at once. So for me, having projects going at all different stages helps me fend off over analyzing or hyper-focusing on small details, or the fear of that project ending and not knowing what I'm gonna make next. It also made me less focused on the perception of my work, and I'm not really sure how. So maybe it was more of a distraction from the audience perception of my work. I wasn't thinking about it, I was just making, which is the point. Number 7, make the art that you wish to see in the world. If you're feeling stuck, think about the work that you love, or think about the kind of message that you need to see to feel continuously motivated or inspired or re-energized, or just the art that you need to feel seen, and then make it. I was very focused on the process and the outcomes of collaborations between artists and organizers, and conveying the message that they needed to amplify. Making art for yourself is just as important in this understanding of process. Currently, as I get back into my creative flow, my goal has been to create art that leads people towards good books or towards smart people in movements for social change. I make a lot of art that quotes my brilliant friends or people that I just know and follow who are organizers or artists or poets or writers, while also drawing cats because I love cats. But also be sure to credit the person that you're quoting. And if you're sharing it on social media, be sure to tag them. Something that I try to do often is I'll create the work and then I'll reach out to that person and share it with them and ask them for consent to share it. And no one has ever said no, and people are usually really excited that you've made art that's quoting them or depicting them. Number 8, this is the last one. Don't scroll social media before you create. Stop scrolling was the advice that I hated to hear, but that actually worked. Scrolling before you make art just totally sucks the inspiration and creativity and originality completely away. I have scrolled for inspiration, to get ideas going, but if you're already struggling with comparing yourself to other artists, whether it's similar work or whether it's how far along they are on their journey, because we're all in different places, right, in our creative journeys, then going on Instagram, for example, before you make art is not gonna work. At least for myself, it makes me feel like I suck and that I'm not in the place that I want to be. So don't scroll social media before you create. Post-production Monica here. I realized that I forgot to add one more tip into our conversation. So number 9 is backwards calendaring. I made the intention to mark what I accomplished at the end of the day. So whether it was a 10-minute sketchbook session or a 1-hour digital illustration power hour or 3 hours of video editing, I wrote that on a dedicated calendar in my art making space. The majority of my days just said 10 or 20-minute sketch sessions, and that still felt really empowering to see as I was settling back into my creative flow, and with no pressure for what the next day may hold. The other thing I realized is that I actually didn't end up getting into how to make art for social change, so that's going to be the main focus for the next vlog. Okay, back to what I was saying. I know we love the dopamine hit we get when we make something that looks really good and we feel really good about it. You have to remember that you're not going to get that dopamine response every time you make something. That just isn't possible and it's not sustainable. I'm telling myself that. Create regardless of how you feel before or how you feel after. And if you are feeling like you want to share a message or certain imagery, but you're also telling yourself that it's been done before and that you've already seen it circulating, it doesn't matter. Make that art. Your art may share similar words or imagery as another piece, but someone might resonate with your spin on it. Okay, that's all I have for now. I hope you enjoyed this video. Let me know in the comments if there's something that you want to hear in the next video, or if there's something you want me to elaborate on. Drop it in the comments. I'm planning on posting a video once a month, so be sure to subscribe. Okay, bye. Take care of yourself. Drink water.